Gather round, my friends will lend an ear. I've got a tale to tell that's sure to bring you cheer. It's all about the podcast that's the talk of the town. The human mean, where humor's always worn like a crown. With gypsy jazz guitar, we'll strum and we'll sing of the podcast that'll make your heart take a wing. It's the human mean, and it's second to none. So come along with us and we'll have some fun. The hosts are quick and witty, and they never hold back. They tackle every topic, and they never slack. From pop culture to politics, they've got it all covered. With humor and grace, they leave you feeling unencumbered. Gypsy jazz guitar, we'll strum and we'll sing of the podcast that'll make your heart take a wing. It's the human mean, and it's second to none. So come along with us and we'll have some fun. So if you're in the mood for laughter and delight, or just want to escape the world for a little while, then the human mean is the podcast for you. Gypsy jazz guitar, we'll strum and we'll sing it true. With gypsy jazz guitar, we'll strum and we'll sing of the podcast that'll make your heart take a wing. It's the human mean, and it's second to none. So come along with us and we'll have some fun. With gypsy jazz guitar, we'll strum and we'll sing of the podcast that'll make your heart take a wing. It's the human mean, and it's second to none. So come along with us and we'll have some fun. So don't delay, my friends, go and subscribe.
Welcome to the Human Meme Podcast. I'm AI David Bowles, and along with our Crackbot AI research team, we have this topic to share with you today. Navigating the fine line, understanding and supporting collectors and hoarders in your life. At first glance, collecting and hoarding might appear to be behaviors of a similar ilk. Both involve the acquisition of objects and a seemingly obsessive attention to those objects. Yet, they are profoundly different in both motivation and manifestation. Collecting is a purposeful and selective process. It involves the acquisition of specific items that fit within a predefined category. Collectors often experience joy and pride in organizing and displaying their collections. Whether it's stamps, books, coins, or art, collections often follow a thoughtful acquisition strategy. The items collected have not just monetary value, but emotional value. They tell a story or complete a set. Hoarding, on the other hand, is characterized by the compulsive gathering of items to the point where it interferes with daily living. Unlike collecting, there is little to no organization in hoarding scenarios. The items may not have intrinsic value and are often kept in a chaotic manner, leading to clutter that is both unsightly and hazardous. The American Psychiatric Association recognizes hoarding as a distinct disorder marked by an inability to discard items, a severe clutter that disrupts living spaces, and significant distress or impairment. The relationship between collecting and hoarding can be conceptualized on a continuum. On one end, we have collecting, which is systematic, and enriches a person's life. As we move towards the other end, we reach hoarding, where the behavior becomes a burden. The transformation from collector to hoarder can sometimes occur when the emotional attachment to objects overrides the practical or aesthetic value they provide, and the accumulation begins to interfere with daily functioning. Psychologists look at several factors when distinguishing between these two. Dr. Randy Frost, a psychologist who has written extensively on the subject, notes that while collectors typically keep their items well organized and take pride in displaying them, hoarders often feel embarrassed by their possessions and their living conditions deteriorate as a result. An example of collecting turning into hoarding can be seen in the case of a once avid collector of books who initially purchased rare and valuable editions. Over time, however, the acquisition became indiscriminate to include any and all books. Eventually, the books filled not just shelves, but entire rooms, creating fire hazards and paths barely navigable. Here, the joy of collecting was overshadowed by the compulsion to acquire and retain an unmanageable number of items. This brings us to the intriguing psychological landscape that differentiates hoarding from collecting. Collectors often feel a sense of satisfaction when adding a new item to their collection, and they usually stop acquiring when a collection is complete. Hoarders, conversely, experience relief from anxiety when they acquire new items, but this is often followed by stress due to the ensuing disarray. This cycle is symptomatic of deeper psychological issues such as depression, anxiety, and obsessive-compulsive disorder. From a clinical standpoint, hoarding disorder was officially recognized in the DSM-5, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders 5th edition, published by the American Psychiatric Association. This recognition marks a pivotal shift in understanding hoarding as more than just an extreme form of collecting. It is a distinct psychological disorder with specific criteria. These include the persistent difficulty discarding possessions regardless of their actual value, a perceived need to save the items, and distress associated with discarding them. The accumulation of possessions results in congested and cluttered living areas and significant distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. Contrastingly, collecting is not recognized as a disorder. Collectors typically display a high level of organization regarding their collections and derive satisfaction from acquiring new additions. The clinical community sees collecting as a harmless and often beneficial hobby, which can provide intellectual stimulation, emotional satisfaction, and social benefits through interaction with fellow enthusiasts. The psychological underpinnings of hoarding are complex and often intertwined with other mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, and obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, OCPD. Research suggests that hoarding behaviors might be linked to problems in information processing. Individuals who hoard often have difficulties such as indecision, disorganization, distraction, and procrastination, which contribute to the severity of the disorder. Therapeutically, treatment for hoarding disorder is challenging and often requires a multifaceted approach. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is the most evidence-based treatment available for hoarding disorder. CBT for hoarding typically involves helping individuals to discard items without acquiring new ones, improving decision-making and organizational skills, and addressing unhelpful beliefs about possessions. For example, fear of wasting, emotional attachment to items. Additionally, motivational interviewing techniques and harm reduction strategies can be essential, particularly in severe cases where the individual's living conditions pose a health or safety risk. Collecting, on the other hand, rarely requires intervention unless it becomes pathological and transitions into hoarding. In such cases, the therapeutic focus would shift similarly to strategies used in treating hoarding disorder. Exploring specific case studies, such as that of a patient who transitioned from art collecting to compulsive hoarding, can illuminate the triggers and psychological shifts involved. Such studies often reveal a point where collecting becomes a compulsion, triggered by emotional traumas, life transitions, or loss. Understanding these triggers is crucial for prevention and intervention. Ongoing research continues to explore the neural mechanisms underlying hoarding disorder, with studies indicating abnormalities in brain regions associated with decision-making and attachment to possessions. Future research aims to better differentiate between hoarding and collecting from a neural perspective and to develop targeted interventions that can more effectively address the specific needs of these individuals. Navigating the intricacies of relationships with collectors and hoarders requires a delicate balance of support, understanding, and sometimes intervention. Whether as family members, friends, or roommates, individuals connected to collectors or hoarders often find themselves in complex emotional landscapes where empathy must meet practicality. Collectors, by nature, bring a methodical and often passionate approach to their pursuit. For those living with collectors, the key is to respect their passion while ensuring it does not encroach excessively on shared spaces or finances. Communication is crucial. It's beneficial to express interest and appreciation for their collection, which fosters mutual respect. For example, setting boundaries about where collections can be displayed might be necessary. A collector of vintage guitars might be encouraged to designate a specific room or area in the house for their collection rather than allowing it to spread into communal areas. This approach respects the collector's interest while maintaining order and harmony at home. Financial boundaries are also essential. For collectors who invest significant amounts of money in their collections, it's vital to discuss budgeting, especially if finances are shared. These conversations should be approached with sensitivity, but also with clarity to ensure that household obligations are not jeopardized by one person's hobby. Dealing with hoarding behavior presents a more significant challenge due to its compulsive nature and potential to create unsafe living conditions. Living with a hoarder requires not just emotional support but often intervention to prevent health hazards and severe clutter from overtaking shared living spaces. Family members and friends need to understand that hoarding is a recognized psychological disorder and that dealing with it is not as simple as just cleaning up. Pushing too hard for a cleanup can often lead to conflicts and emotional setbacks. Professional help from therapists or organizers specialized in hoarding disorders is usually necessary. A gentle approach, such as discussing the safety concerns associated with blocked exits or unsanitary conditions, can be a starting point. Involving the hoarder in decisions about what to clear and how to organize their possessions can help them feel more in control and less defensive. For instance, starting with small, less emotionally charged areas like a single drawer or a cupboard can be less intimidating and more manageable. Experts like Dr. Randy Frost advocate for a compassionate understanding of the emotional connections hoarders have with their possessions. Support groups, both online and in person, can also provide essential emotional support and practical advice for those living with hoarders. Therapeutic interventions often include cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, tailored to hoarding. CBT helps address the problematic thinking patterns associated with hoarding and teaches skills to decrease acquiring, improve decision-making, and organize possessions. Family therapy can also be beneficial, helping all members understand the dynamics of hoarding and improve communication and problem-solving skills within the household. For those living with either collectors or hoarders, The overarching strategy is one of empathy, clear communication, and boundary setting. It's important to recognize when to seek professional help, especially when hoarding behaviors escalate to a point where they pose risks to safety and well-being. By maintaining open channels of communication and involving experts when necessary, it's possible to support a loved one without enabling destructive patterns. In every instance, the goal is to foster a home environment that respects both individual needs and collective well-being, ensuring that all parties feel valued and heard. As we reach the end of today's exploration on the Human Meme podcast, we find ourselves threading through the delicate fabric that divides collecting from hoarding, each a testament to the human condition, each a mirror reflecting our deepest fears and our highest aspirations. To live with or to love someone who collects or hoards is to walk a path of patience and profound understanding. It challenges us to confront not only the physical clutter, but also the emotional landscapes that drive such behaviors. May this conversation inspire you to approach these intricate dynamics with empathy, set boundaries with kindness, and above all, recognize the shared humanity in each other's obsessions and compulsions. For the Human Meme podcast, I'm AI David Bowles, wishing you a fair evening and a fine tomorrow. Be a human meme.
Gather round, friends will lend an ear. I've got a tale to tell that's sure to bring you cheer. It's all about the podcast that's the talk of the town. The human meme where humor's always worn like a crown. With gypsy jazz guitar, we'll strum and we'll sing of the podcast that'll make your heart take a wing. It's a human meme and it's second to none. So come along with us and we'll have some fun. The hosts are quick and witty, and they never hold back. They tackle every topic, and they never slack. From pop culture to politics, they've got it all covered. With humor and grace, they leave you feeling unencumbered. With gypsy jazz guitar, we'll strum and we'll sing of the podcast that'll make your heart take a wing. It's a human meme, and it's second to none. So come along with us and we'll have some fun. So if you're in the mood for laughter and delight, or just want to escape the world for a little while, then the Human Meme is the podcast for you. Gypsy jazz guitar, we'll strum and we'll sing it true. With gypsy jazz guitar, we'll strum and we'll sing of the podcast that'll make your heart take a wing. It's the Human Meme, and it's second to none. So come along with us and we'll have some fun. With gypsy jazz guitar, we'll strum and we'll sing of the podcast that'll make your heart take a wing. It's the Human Meme, and it's second to none. So come along with us and we'll have some fun. So don't delay, my friends, go and subscribe.